Tyler Jones here with you. Thanks for joining us here on Seattle Seahawks today. We are talking all about Jalen Milroe as he is taking an official top 30 draft visit with the Seahawks organization. We'll tell you everything you need to know about the Alabama quarterback coming up in just a matter of moments. Before we do, I got a little challenge for the 12s to start today's show. The 49ers report, Chase Sr., he's a good guy, he's a friend, but our friend is our enemy in this case today. He challenged us to get 1,000 comments on today's show. He said, Tyler, we got 1,000 comments on our last video. I can't remember the last time Seahawks Today did that. There's no way you guys can make that happen. So if you want to prove Chase Sr. wrong, spam S in the comments. Let's get at least 1,000 and show him who's boss, and we'll get going here on today's program. We begin with the latest on Jalen Milroe. The Alabama Crimson Tide quarterback is one of the top QB prospects in the 2025 NFL Draft. And according to reports, he is set to meet with the Seahawks in Seattle this week on an official visit. This coming from Jordan Schultz of Fox Sports, who posted the following on X. Sources, Alabama QB Jalen Milroe has upcoming visits with the Giants, Rams, and Seahawks after meeting with the Browns earlier this week. Milroe's name has been gaining steam in recent weeks. Now, he's absolutely right about that. More and more people are talking about Jalen Milroe. I've seen a couple of mock drafts over the last 2 or 3 weeks or so that have Milroe going as high as the first round, which about a month ago that seemed impossible, highly unlikely that was going to happen. Now, in Seattle's case, what I'm hoping is that even if they're interested in Jalen Milroe, and I have no problem with him taking this meeting at all, I'm just begging. Can we please not waste a pick at 18 overall on a quarterback, and that quarterback being Jalen Milroe here? First off, you shouldn't be picking any quarterback at 18 to begin with. When you already have Sam Darnold, you got him locked up. You got a young franchise quarterback. But then secondly, Jalen Milroe, for God's sake, cannot be your pick at 18 if you are going to take a quarterback. Maybe you take him in round 2 or round 3 potentially. Then we could have a conversation on that front about potentially bringing him in there to back up Sam Darnold and maybe compete for the job eventually down the line. But at least right now at this point, I don't think that makes a ton of sense for Seattle to consider going this route of using a high pick there at 18. Second or third, maybe. But at the end of the day, one of the problems with him that I look at is that he's going to be a project at the next level. And I'm not looking to use an 18th overall pick on a quarterback when I already have a quarterback and a project quarterback at that. So let's ask you now, should the Seahawks draft Jalen Milroe? What do you think about this possibility? Type D for draft, P for pass. Weigh in our pinned comment today and let us know what you think. Today's show is sponsored by our friends at Game Time. Game Time is the place to go for the best seats, the lowest prices guaranteed. Whether you're looking for tickets to sporting events, concerts, theater productions, comedy shows, and more, Game Time's got you covered. Game Time makes getting tickets even faster and easier. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to the first pitch. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their lowest price guarantee, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets. Game Time is the official ticketing partner of Seattle Seahawks today. They have last-minute deals where you can save up to 60% off buying last minute for sports, concerts, comedy shows, theater productions, and more. Game Time Picks makes last-minute ticket buying even easier than ever by quickly highlighting the best deals in the stadium. They have their zone deals where you can save even more when you choose a section and let Game Time choose the seats. They have their all-in pricing. If you toggle that feature, it'll show you the total up front with no surprise fees at checkout. They have their seat views where you can get a panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy. The lowest price is guaranteed, or Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. The Game Time coverage guarantee, your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code ChatSports for $20 off your first purchase. Maybe you want to go see the Seattle Mariners and save some big money on Game Time, you can do so. I've had a lot of success with Game Time. Got my tickets just like that with Apple Pay and Venmo and Google Pay. Very simple and easy to use, folks. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code CHATSPRTS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. The link is in the comments and the description of today's video. Game Time, proud partner of Seattle Seahawks today. All right, let's tell you more about Jalen Milroe now. Played for the Crimson Tide from 2021 to 2024, and it was a bit of a rocky ride for Jalen Milroe there at Alabama as he played under Nick Saban and was the starting quarterback for Saban's final season there with Alabama. And he got benched a couple games in when he was named the starter and eventually got that job back and turned things around, helped take Alabama to the college football playoff. Then last year, under first-year head coach Kalen DeBoer, he played okay. He had some flashes, some great moments, but that Alabama team underachieved, and he was very inconsistent throughout the season. When I look at him at the next level, folks, I see more of a Taysom Hill type than I do a franchise quarterback. And I'll put it this way. There is a place for Jalen Milroe in this league. He is an incredible athlete. I think that you can use him on the football field and that he could have a very long career in this league. But I highly doubt it is at the quarterback position. And I know that some people are kind of go after me and say, like, oh, you think that a black quarterback that runs can't play at a high level in this league? That's not that case at all. I just don't see the accuracy holding up and getting him to be that elite passer. But there's still an opening for him to succeed in some way, shape, or form. You look at his passing stats. Here's what we're talking about here, folks. Last year, only threw for 16 touchdowns, 11 picks. His interception numbers nearly doubled from the year prior. His completion percentage was down from close to 66% in 2023 to around 64% in 2024. Threw for just over 2,800 yards along with those 16 touchdowns. But the athleticism is there, folks. 20 total touchdowns on the ground off of 726 carries with 4.3 yards a carry last year. And you think about Taysom Hill, who I compared him to. That's a guy that's played running back, played fullback, played tight end. Jalen Milroe, I'll find somewhere to plug him in. And we know that Clint Kubiak wants to expand this offense for a fullback, H-back type role. Maybe that's where Jalen Milroe potentially fits in. His scouting report, he could make big plays on the run. He's got one of the strongest arms of anybody in this draft, dynamic arm talent. He's very well built. He has a sharp release, a lot of tools there, but he doesn't quite put it all together as there's some serious accuracy concerns. And if he's struggling like this at Alabama with accuracy, I can't imagine it getting better at the next level where this is so much tougher in the National Football League. ESPN right now in their draft prospect rankings has Milroe as the number 5 quarterback in this class, and this is not a great quarterback class by any stretch of the imagination. So to be number 5, if you put that into perspective compared to other drafts, like let's say a year ago, Milroe would not be very high or comparable at all compared to some of those other quarterbacks. ESPN puts him as the number 80 overall prospect. We tend to see quarterbacks get overdrafted due to just the circumstance of teams desperately needing the position. So if he gets drafted along his prospect rankings, then that squarely puts him in the 3rd round. But it only takes one team to reach. And there's been rumblings about the Pittsburgh Steelers and some of these other teams that might take a chance and jump up early to grab Jalen Milroe. So let's ask you, what round is Jalen Milroe going to get drafted? Is he a 1st-round pick, 2nd-round pick, 3rd-round pick? I'm open to the discussion if we're talking day 2 or day 3. But it's a big hell no for me of using a 1st-round pick on Jalen Milroe. Weigh in, let us know. Now, here's the deal when it comes to Jalen Milroe, all right, and the Seahawks with their quarterback situation that we've seen over the years. Since 2013, I was still in high school in 2013, okay? The Seahawks have only drafted one total quarterback since 2013. That was a guy by the name of Alex McGough in the 7th round in 2018. It has been a long time, my friends. And John Schneider has said, even after bringing in Sam Darnold, that they want to draft a quarterback, that they would like to have a young quarterback that they could potentially develop that at the very least could be a backup to Sam Darnold and go from there. But with that said, Schneider has been very open. He said this in the past. He is not proud of their QB draft record with the lack thereof of quarterbacks they've selected, that they've been kind of scared to take chances on these young guys over the years. This is not something that they've done. And while he says that, hey, I'm not proud of what we've done with the quarterback position, I want to draft a quarterback, actions speak louder than words. And I'll sit here and I'll tell you this right now. I'm all in on drafting a quarterback in 2025. I'm not all in on using a first-round pick on a quarterback. But I like the idea of a young quarterback sitting behind Sam Darnold, and maybe he replaces Darnold at some point. Maybe he's just a very good backup, or potentially turns into a trade piece down the line. As we've seen the New England Patriots do a very successful job over the years in the Belichick days, from guys like Jimmy Garoppolo to Matt Castle and others, where even though they had the best quarterback of all time in Tom Brady, they continued to draft quarterbacks, and they were able to flip those guys for more draft picks down the line. Maybe that's something that could potentially work out with drafting a quarterback. But with that said, I'll believe it when I see it. I like the idea, but I'm not so confident it's actually going to happen that I can believe John Schneider when he says this. Appreciate you watching here on this edition of Seattle Seahawks Today. If you made it to the end of today's video, that means you're a real one. You're a real member of the 12s. Spam 12 in the comments section. We'll see you next time here on Seahawks Today.